The premium aisles are emptying, not because stores are closing or products are disappearing, but because customers are walking past them without stopping. The carefully crafted displays, the organic certifications, the artisanal packaging that once justified paying 3 times the price for seemingly identical products. None of it feels worth it anymore. Across America, 15 premium food brands that built their success on convincing consumers to pay more for quality, ethics, or status, or watching their customer base quietly disappear. These aren't failures of marketing or distribution. These are brands that delivered exactly what they promised, but discovered that what they promised is no longer what people can afford or are willing to prioritize. The shift represents more than changing shopping habits. It reflects a fundamental recalibration of American values around food, money, and what constitutes necessity versus luxury. When families are forced to choose between paying rent and buying organic, between filling the gas tank and purchasing artisanal bread, the premium food industry discovers how thin the line really was between desire and actual need. What makes this transformation particularly striking is that it's happening during a period when these brands should theoretically be thriving. Health consciousness has never been higher. Environmental awareness continues to grow. Yet the companies that position themselves as the ethical, healthy, premium choice are losing customers at rates that suggest something more permanent than temporary economic pressure. Let's start with the brand that convinced America that coffee was worth $8. Starbucks built an empire on the idea that coffee could be an experience, a daily luxury that ordinary people deserved. For years, that message resonated. The morning latte became a ritual, a small indulgence that made routine feel special. But in 2026, the mathematics of that ritual have become impossible to ignore. $8 for a flavored latte, $15 if you add a pastry, $40 a week for someone who visits twice. That's $160 per month, nearly $2,000 annually, for coffee that can be made at home for 50 cents per cup. The comparison that once felt unfair homemade coffee versus the Starbucks experience now feels like basic financial responsibility. The shift isn't just about money, though economics certainly drive the change. It's about the realization that the experience Starbucks sold, sophisticated taste, social status, convenient luxury, can be replicated at home with a French press and quality beans for a fraction of the cost. The premium that customers paid for atmosphere and convenience no longer seems worth the financial sacrifice. For families watching grocery bills double while incomes stagnate, Starbucks represents everything wrong with premium pricing. The same coffee that costs $8 at Starbucks can be purchased in whole bean form for less than $1 per cup when made at home. The markup reveals itself as pure brand tax rather than genuine value creation. Workers who once treated Starbucks as a routine expense have started calculating what that money could buy instead. A month of Starbucks purchases could cover a utility bill. A year of daily lattes could fund a family vacation. The opportunity cost that was once invisible has become impossible to ignore. Moving from beverages to what was supposed to be guilt-free indulgence, Ben & Jerry's positioned itself as socially conscious ice cream worth paying premium prices. The pints that cost $7 to $8 carried messages about social justice, environmental responsibility, and fair trade practices that made the expense feel virtuous rather than indulgent. But when families are stretching grocery budgets, the ethical messaging that once justified premium pricing begins to feel like expensive virtue signaling. Store-brand ice cream costs $3 per pint and tastes nearly identical to most consumers. The $4 difference per container adds up quickly for families buying multiple pints or shopping regularly. The social consciousness that Ben & Jerry's sells becomes a luxury that working families can't afford. Parents who want to feed their children ice cream find themselves choosing between ethical consumption and financial responsibility. For most families facing economic pressure, financial responsibility wins a The brand's political activism, once viewed as admirable corporate responsibility, now feels tone-deaf to customers struggling with basic expenses. Paying extra for ice cream that comes with social justice. Messaging feels absurd when the purchaser is working multiple jobs to pay rent. Young adults who once proudly bought Ben & Jerry's as an expression of their values have discovered that their values include financial stability. The premium that felt meaningful in college or early career years becomes an unaffordable luxury when facing student loan payments. Rent increases, And stagnant wages. Premium water represents perhaps the most obvious example of marketing triumph over rational consumption. Smart Water convinced millions of Americans to pay $3 to $4 for bottles of filtered tap water enhanced with electrolytes that most people don't need. The sleek packaging and celebrity endorsements created a perception of sophistication and health benefits that justified the enormous markup over literally identical tap water. The illusion has become harder to maintain as families calculate the annual cost of premium water consumption. A family drinking 2 bottles per day spends over $1,400 annually on water that flows from their kitchen tap for less than 50 cents per month. The contrast between premium water costs and basic utility bills reveals the absurdity of the expense. Environmental consciousness has also turned against premium bottled water as consumers become more aware of plastic waste and carbon footprints. The same families who once felt good about buying responsible bottled water have realized that the most responsible choice is using reusable bottles filled with filtered tap water. The health claims that supported premium water pricing have been thoroughly debunked. The electrolytes in expensive water provide no measurable benefit for most consumers. The purity that justified premium pricing is matched or exceeded by basic water filtration systems that cost less than a month of bottled water purchases. Grocery stores report dramatic increases in water filter sales, while premium bottled water sales decline consistently. Families have discovered that a $30 water filter provides better tasting water than premium bottles while eliminating ongoing costs and reducing environmental impact. Premium snack foods represent another category where value propositions have collapsed under economic pressure. Kind bars built a brand around healthy snacking with ingredients you can pronounce and nutritional profiles that seem superior to traditional candy bars. The $4 price per bar felt justified by the quality ingredients and health positioning. But health-conscious consumers have started reading labels more carefully and calculating costs per serving. A Kind bar contains nuts, dried fruit, and sweeteners that can be purchased separately and combined at home for less than 50 cents per serving. The convenience premium of pre-made bars becomes impossible to justify when homemade alternatives taste better and cost 90% less. Parents who once packed Kind bars in children's lunchboxes have switched to homemade trail mix or whole fruits that provide better nutrition at a fraction of the cost. The healthy positioning that justified premium pricing has been undermined by families discovering that whole foods are both healthier and cheaper than processed health foods. The protein content that Kind bars emphasized can be obtained more efficiently and affordably through nuts, seeds, and other whole foods. Families have realized that paying for marketing, packaging, and brand positioning makes no sense when the actual nutritional benefits can be achieved for much less money. Organic dairy represents a category where premium pricing has become completely disconnected from consumer reality. Organic Valley and similar brands convinced families to pay twice the price for milk by emphasizing farming practices, animal welfare, and health benefits. The messaging was compelling enough to justify significant expense increases for families who wanted to feel good about their food choices. The premium has become unsustainable for most families as milk prices have increased across all categories. When regular milk costs $5 per gallon and organic milk costs $10, the difference represents a substantial household expense that competes directly with other necessities. Scientific research has failed to demonstrate meaningful nutritional differences between organic and conventional dairy products. Families who once felt virtuous about buying organic have realized they were paying a substantial premium for negligible or non-existent benefits. Children who drink significant amounts of milk create household expenses that become prohibitive when multiplied by organic pricing. Families with multiple children face monthly milk costs that approach utility bills when buying organic, making the choice between virtue and financial responsibility obvious. The animal welfare messaging that supported organic dairy pricing has been undermined by investigations, showing that organic certification doesn't guarantee significantly better treatment than conventional farming. Families paying premium prices for ethical consumption have discovered that the ethics they were purchasing were largely illusory. Premium frozen foods represent convenience pricing that no longer makes economic sense. Amy's Organic Frozen Meals position themselves as healthy convenience food worth paying restaurant prices. The $7 to $9 per meal felt reasonable for busy families who wanted nutritious options without cooking time. But economic pressure has forced families to calculate the real cost of convenience. A $9 frozen meal contains ingredients that cost less than $3 to purchase and prepare fresh. The $6 convenience premium represents pure markup for reheating pre-made food. Families have discovered that meal preparation doesn't require significantly more time than heating frozen meals when planned efficiently. Batch cooking on weekends provides healthier, better-tasting meals for a fraction of frozen food costs, while eliminating preservatives and excessive sodium. The healthy positioning of premium frozen meals has been undermined by ingredient analysis, showing that many contain processed components, artificial additives, and sodium levels that exceed recommended daily limits. Families paying premium prices for health benefits discovered they were purchasing marketing rather than nutrition. Children who once ate premium frozen meals as after-school snacks or quick dinners have adapted bizarrely to fresh alternatives that cost less and provide better nutrition. Parents have realized that convenience foods often create more work and expense than simple, fresh preparation. Artisanal bread represents premium positioning that has become completely disconnected from value. Specialty bakery loaves costing $8 to $12 convinced customers to pay restaurant prices for bread through emphasis on craftsmanship, organic ingredients, and authentic techniques. The messaging created a perception that artisanal bread provided significantly superior nutrition and taste. But families buying bread regularly have calculated the annual cost of artisanal purchases and discovered the expense rivals monthly utility bills. A family consuming 2 loaves weekly spends over $800 annually on bread that can be made at home for less than $100 in ingredients. Home bread making has experienced a renaissance as families discover that artisanal techniques aren't particularly difficult or time. A basic bread machine investment pays for itself within months while providing fresh bread that tastes better than expensive bakery versions. The ingredients in artisanal bread: flour, water, yeast, and salt cost pennies when purchased separately. The enormous markup for combining these ingredients reveals pure brand positioning rather than genuine value creation. Children who grew up eating expensive artisanal bread have easily adapted to homemade alternatives that taste fresher and cost dramatically less. Parents have realized that bread making provides family activities and life skills that justify the minimal time investment beyond cost savings. Premium kombucha represents perhaps the most extreme example of marketing triumph over rational consumption. Kombucha brands convinced health-conscious consumers to pay $5 to $7 for fermented tea with supposed probiotic benefits. The complex flavors and health positioning created a perception that kombucha provided unique nutritional benefits worth significant expense. The health claims supporting kombucha pricing have been largely debunked by scientific research showing that probiotic benefits are minimal and can be obtained more effectively through other sources. Families paying premium prices for gut health have discovered that yogurt, fiber, and whole foods provide superior benefits at lower costs. Homemade kombucha preparation costs less than 50 cents per serving, while providing better flavor control and eliminating artificial additives found in commercial versions. Families have discovered that fermentation isn't difficult and provides educational opportunities for children while saving substantial money. The trendy positioning that made kombucha feel sophisticated has been undermined by mainstream adoption and scientific scrutiny. What once felt like informed health consciousness now feels like expensive trend following without substantial benefits. Young adults who once bought kombucha as a lifestyle statement have started questioning whether $5 fermented tea represents responsible spending when facing student loans, rent increases, and uncertain employment prospects. Premium nuts and seeds represent another category where markup has become impossible to justify. Blue Diamond and similar brands convinced consumers to pay 3 to 4 times the price for flavored nuts through emphasis on taste, innovation, and premium positioning. The specialty flavors and attractive packaging created perception that premium nuts provided significantly superior experience. Bulk buying has revealed the enormous markup on packaged nuts. The same almonds that cost $12 per pound in premium packaging can be purchased for $3 per pound in bulk bins. The packaging and flavor additions that justified premium pricing represent pure marketing expense rather than value creation. Families have discovered that flavoring nuts at home with spices and seasonings provides better taste control while eliminating artificial additives and excessive sodium found in premium products. Home preparation costs a fraction of premium prices while providing fresher, more customizable results. The protein and healthy fat content that nuts provide can be obtained more efficiently through bulk purchases and home preparation. Premium packaging doesn't enhance nutritional value, while significantly increasing cost per serving. Children who snack on nuts regularly create household expenses that become prohibitive when multiplied by premium pricing. Families have realized that bulk buying and home preparation provides better nutrition education, while saving substantial money. Premium olive oil represents luxury positioning that has lost connection to practical cooking needs. Artisanal olive oil brands convinced customers to pay $30 to $50 per bottle through emphasis on harvest dates and tasting notes, similar to wine marketing. The complex positioning created perception that expensive olive oil provided significantly superior cooking results. Blind taste tests consistently show that most consumers cannot distinguish expensive olive oil from mid-range alternatives in cooked applications. The premium that feels justified for special occasions becomes absurd for regular cooking when cheaper alternatives provide identical results. Families using olive oil regularly have calculated that premium bottles lasts only weeks while creating monthly expenses that approach grocery budgets. The cost per use of expensive olive oil makes every cooking application feel financially irresponsible. The health benefits of olive oil don't correlate with price premiums. Basic extra virgin olive oil provides identical nutritional benefits at a fraction of artisanal costs while meeting all cooking and health requirements. Professional chefs consistently recommend mid-range olive oils for cooking while reserving expensive versions for finishing applications. Families have realized that paying premium prices for cooking oil represents misplaced priorities rather than culinary sophistication. What connects all these premium brand abandonments is the realization that marketing often created perceived value rather than actual value. Families facing economic pressure have been forced to examine the real benefits they received from premium spending and discovered that much of what they paid for was brand positioning rather than tangible improvements. The psychological shift represents more than temporary budget tightening. It reflects a fundamental change in American consumer consciousness, where value calculation has become more sophisticated and less susceptible to marketing manipulation. Young families who once aspired to premium consumption have discovered that financial security provides more satisfaction than brand loyalty. The same money spent on premium food brands can be invested, saved, or used for experiences that provide longer-lasting benefits than temporary consumption. The companies losing these customers face a fundamental challenge. Their value propositions were built on economic conditions and consumer psychology that may have permanently changed. The customers who abandon premium brands often don't return even when their financial situations improve, having discovered that alternatives provide equal or superior satisfaction at lower costs. For American families, the retreat from premium food brands represents a practical education in value, nutrition, and financial responsibility. What began as forced economizing has evolved into informed consumer behavior that prioritizes results over marketing and substance over style.